Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Today we are watching Lego Darth Vader versus Off-Brand Darth Vader by JB Films. He requested this a little bit of a while ago. I'm finally getting to it now. Apologies for the delay, but let's watch it. Now, one thing, I actually have already watched this already. One thing I wanted to mention is the lighting. I really like the lighting in this video. There's something about these colors. They're like kind of pinkish, orangish, purplish. They're very good. It's just really well lit. It really creates a nice atmosphere despite some other issues, like let's say the technical flaws of light flicker, and you know, like the animation's also pretty decent. I think it's not. I'm like watching it, like, you know, looking for flaws, but realistically, although the in-betweens maybe aren't all there, the poses and the moment-to-moment action is pretty good, and I really like these shots too. It really takes advantage of the scenery, the lighting, and even stuff like this. You know, it really makes for like much more of an enjoyable product, or not really product. It's a creation. It's an art. It's a work of imagination, which is really nice. I like that shot a lot too. Just shot of him going for the flip. Lego Darth Vader wins. I will say nitpick, but put this in the center. Just put it in the center next time. It messes with my brain when it's all the way up here. I really don't think I'm the only one, but really not a big deal. Still, I like a lot of these shots quite a lot. Let me just try and exit full screen. But I do think this is a really solid video. I think maybe my biggest issues with it are some of the technical flaws, like I said earlier, is like the light flicker. You know, let me just put on music. So there is a lot of unfortunate like kind of light flickering. And let's go shot by shot and really dissect each one of these so that way we can really get a solid understanding and grasp of anything that you do really well, which there are some things, and anything that could be improved, which there are always going to be some things. But this first shot here, oh my, burp. I think this is a great opening shot. I really think it's like atmospheric. You know, it's clear. I already read the video's title, right? So I know what's gonna happen next. So you really don't waste that much time getting into the action, and you start it off immediately by having a character just walk in and like doing his thing. Sorry about that. It's really good. I think the walk cycle is excellent. The camera tracking is great. Maybe some bumps, like you see a bump right there. You notice? I don't know if you noticed, but yeah, there's like a boom. I don't know exactly how you're moving your camera. What I usually try and do is I try to get one of these panel pieces, these flat pieces that can slide along the table really easily, as well as holding the camera up. So I try to just slide it on that. So it's not too difficult or crazy. But you know, I don't know exactly how you're sliding it. I would never slide it on studs because studs are very uneven. I really like the sliding though. This purple, this orange, they really come together. These are great lights, truly. It really creates an atmosphere. And it looks really pretty. It looks really pretty, dude. I like that. I dig that. I really dig that. That first shot I think is great. I really don't think there's much wrong with it aside from just the light flicker and the camera tracking is a little bit off and wonky. But really, I could safely ignore that. The thing is, I don't know if every audience member is gonna ignore that. Personally, if I was making this video, I could maybe keep in the camera bump, but I could not keep in light flicker. Light flicker is one of those things that can really want to avert your viewer's gaze, and that's not good. Alright, this next shot here, I don't think it's as clean. The tracking is a little bit off, and there's some focusing ring stuff going on here. And also, I think the way here where it ends, Darth Vader, the off-brand one, is a little bit too off-screen. He's cut off. Half of his body's cut off. You don't really want that. We can also witness the light source. Now, I don't know if this is intentional or not. I think this is fine, personally. You can see how the sky's kind of cut out here to let the lamp in. But I don't know if I'd actually have this in my film unless I intentionally tried to disguise it to look like the sun, which you don't really do. It's kind of obvious that this is a lamp here. I don't know how much it really breaks the immersion for me or for other people, but personally, that is something that's distracting, and it can be called out. You have this orange piece here. I don't know. Could be out of place. I don't know. But another thing, there's these weird issues with the focus ring. For some reason, it kind of goes in and out of focus, and unfortunately, the camera just doesn't track very smoothly. You know, it kind of changes its momentum, kind of changes its trajectory throughout. Well, not its trajectory, but kind of like, you know, it goes slow, then fast, and slow again, then fast again. It just needs to be all one smooth motion, which you do here. So, you know, I know it's not out of your capabilities. It's just wasn't how it was here. The cape movement here looks pretty cool, but I think maybe because it's not flowing here. You know what, honestly, I don't care that I actually don't care that it's not flowing here, because this does make for a cool shot, you know? Makes for something cool and nice and interesting. You know, it's a YouTube video at the end of the day. You do want to use these to become a better filmmaker, but there are also some stylized choices that you can make that you can get away with, and I think this is one of them. So let's check out this lightsaber beep. The beep up is... So personally speaking, I think maybe you have too many frames on him pulling out the lightsaber here. I think the arc is... Whoa, the arc is... you know something I haven't actually called out? This is a great arc. This is fantastic. It follows it. His head follows the arc every step of the way. The only issue you got now is that there's too many frames right here on his arm. Personally, I think you should go from here to this frame. This is a great jump. This is a great jump right here. And then from here, you can actually pretty much go into the last bit of the animation. So I'd say you skip this, you skip this, you skip this. Maybe you stay here. Maybe not actually. So you skip that too. So then you stay here. Oh, never mind. The issue is when you go frame by frame, look, he's rotating his lightsaber to the right, but in this frame, it juts kind of straightly. It goes to the left. So personally speaking, I'd go from, let's say this frame, all the way to this frame. And then you play it from there, so that way that comes out. I think that will make for a much smoother animation, for a much more snappy kind of look as well. Because when he's trying to, like, you know, when he's trying to draw his weapon, he needs to be fast, you know. It's kind of a big deal as to why he's so dangerous. Because if he's slow on the draw, then, you know, that's bad. I like this shot. Again, you do have some issues with your focus ring, though. I don't know if you're on manual focus or if you're on autofocus. I'd assume you're on manual focus. But for some reason, it just keeps, like, the focus depth keeps changing throughout the frames. I like that little bit, that little tumbleweed break that you add right there. That thing, it's nice. You know, it really gives off... This feels a lot more like a Western than I was expecting it to, but I really am, like, grateful that it is feeling like a Western, and there's so much attention to detail paid to that. You have the lighting, you have this sort of standoffish nature, you have this kind of opening that's kind of, like, cold and mysterious and intriguing. Once again, the cape, you know, nice flying. It follows a nice path. I like how it's flowing in the wind, honestly, and I really like the lighting on it. You know, this is, again, the lighting in this video truly is fantastic. It looks really pretty. The oranges, the purples, it really comes together to make like a very like unique sort of look for this film, and I really like that. The colors all just really pop. They really look great here, and the blue background is amazing. It really helps to accentuate all that. But yeah, these camera pans, just a little bit wonky. The light flicker, still a little bit distracting, but this is a fun bit, I thought, honestly, where like his off-brandness, you know, just doesn't make his arm work right. So let's check this out again. The only issue I have with this is that this is not very communicated. It's not communicated as clearly as I think it could be. I think, personally speaking, I would maybe have his arm, he would try to move it down, but then it gets locked, so he tries to go for it again, and it gets locked again, so he's looking at it like, oh, and then he gets frustrated, and he walks back with his arm locked like that. I guess the only thing is, like, he does this. Check it out. He does this, where he clearly is able to move his arm out of frustration, which I think kind of derails what you're going for a bit here, with his arm being, like, wonky and not usable. Because I can kind of infer it based on this part here, where he's looking at it. But when he immediately starts using it properly again, that's when it becomes an issue, because, like, I thought he couldn't use it. But I still like this. He puts on a new arm, and he gets right back to work. Now, I guess your only issue is that Darth Vader's cape only seems to flap when it wants to in this shot. Which, you can, like, use masking and stuff to make it so that way this also flaps the entire time, because he's clearly very far from the other Darth Vader, so you can just cut out this entire piece and just have a looping cape animation. Like, I've done that for my videos, where if I have two characters moving, but one character is moving in a kind of looping, kind of cyclical way, I can just mask him out. I can get all of his frames done quickly, and then I can animate the other character while the other character is still, and then in editing I can splice those two shots together so that way it looks like he's always moving. Anyways, let's check out. Yeah, I think this bit of him actually, like, putting his arm together is great. I think it's animated well. I think it looks solid. The sound too, the sound when it clicks in, it's very good. Really good sound selection right there. This tree moves. Not much to really say about that. It just moves. I think you could add some more frames at the end here just to have him settle a bit more. But now let's get into the fight. And I like this bit. You have the camera slowly panning down. You have the characters kind of walking back and forth. You have the fight really feel dynamic, you know? I don't know. Now, I can't say much about the in-betweens, but from what I'm seeing, honestly, like, you know, just from looking at it at a full pace, this is pretty easy to follow. This is clear. This is visually distinct. And it's also interesting. They move a lot, you know? They're not just kind of rotating on one pivot. They're moving their arms. They're moving both of their legs. They're moving quite a lot of their body. And the cape is just, it keeps going. And it's really nice. This is really a fun watch. My issues with this shot specifically is just kind of like, again, you got some light flicker going on. You got some camera bumps here and there. This shot is kind of bad for light flicker. But despite that, this is a solid shot. It's maybe a little bit too close up because once again, you got the issue of the Darth Vader being, his body's getting cut off. But at the same time, we're still focusing on the other one. So it's cool. I think this is a cool shot. You have it elevated with the characters. The background is nice and clear. They don't take up too much space. You really feel like you're getting a sense of being there with this. And it's very atmospheric. I like that a lot. This is like a film, dude. You know what I mean? This is like, you know, you got like animation for animation's sake. But then you got like things like your planning. You got things like lighting. You got things like wanting to focus on the genre, on the theming. I think it's really good. You can see the background here kind of like, it kind of moves a bit. Personally, like, I think if I were going for my standards, honestly, I wouldn't mind having these black bars here that show where each piece of paper ends and which one begins, because they still got like a gradient thing going. And I don't know, I think personally with Lego films, I like that kind of homemade feel to them. I think that's part of the appeal with a lot of brick films. So I'm not gonna knock off any points for this. I think it looks cool. You know, you're using what you have access to, which is one of the biggest things. You have to use what you have to solve your problems. And if you can do that, you're like a much better filmmaker than a lot of other ones. Yeah, I like this. This is a great fight scene. And I like this shot a lot too. It's like, you know, like you're focusing here, but because what I really like about this is your minimalistic set design, because Darth Vader sticks up really high amongst everything else in the set, like this little tree here, or these bricks, or these elevations. The set is also, let me talk about the set real quick, is that you have random bits of elevation, which makes it feel like a lot more of a natural landscape, which is great. You know, I think that's cool. This is a cool shot. It's very obvious that it's not actually masking, and that the shot is just like him pasted to the paper on the wall. Despite that, it's still well animated enough for me not to care. You know what I mean? Ooh. I love that. And then he just takes his lightsaber. And now my only issue here at this point is maybe you got to keep him in focus the entire time. I would maybe try to pull back. You know, you have some good camera movements here. This last shot should also probably get a good camera movement. Now, I didn't notice this, but you can kind of see the redness on his toes from where you masked it. Yeah, just a bit. I had to watch this like 5 times to notice that. So, you know, I think you're good. I like that a lot. Okay, I'll comment on one more thing. I think maybe with this shot here, it's clear what you're trying to do is you're trying to get him to plant the lightsaber in the ground to stop his slide, which is a solid idea. My only issue with it is that he should have moved his back. He should have, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? He should have hinged his back all the way back and then stabbed into the ground. That way you kind of get a nice anticipation for when he's about to do it, for what he's about to do. You give it some more power when he leans back really far and then really quickly stabs his sword into the ground. In this kind of method that you did, where you just kind of twist his arm, it works. It just doesn't feel as insane. That being said, it's cool that even though that this shot is very far and out of focus, you still added a bit of a burn line that traces his lightsaber. That's pretty cool. You know, it really adds attention to detail. And I like this. You make him go backwards to get a bit of a running start, and then he jumps up into the air. Now, the only thing is, I guess if we go frame by frame on the jump itself, him launching himself into the jump is a little bit fast. Yeah. I'd give him maybe one more frame of him just barely getting off the ground. Maybe put his head around here, and his body should be a little bit elevated, and then you can transition into that. Now, the issue here is that you got a frame right after this huge jump that's a little bit too close. These 2 frames are a bit too close. I will get rid of this one, honestly. This is good. This breaks the arc. He goes to the corner when it looked like he was supposed to be going sort of this way. I feel like his head should be here in the next frame, but it's all the way up here. despite that, it leads into the next shot pretty decently, you know. And this is a great little somersault here. This is animated really well, and so is this. Yeah, that's solid. I do think Darth Vader should be in focus here, and I don't know if I really like this last pose. I think I feel like you were going for like such a well-paced, tension-filling kind of ending or kind of a movie here, but I feel like Darth Vader should be looking at his corpse a little bit long, you know, a little bit more forebodingly before he pulls out his lightsaber, and then the screen cuts into black, you know. Like, we can already infer that by just him pulling out his sword again, he's going to kill him. We don't really need this last shot of him about to do the stab, especially since, well, I mean, it just doesn't really look very menacing, you know. It kind of looks kind of goofy. Lego is kind of hard to do the long sword, I'm going to stab you type of thing now. So I think it would have been cool if you just had him stand still here while his cape floated in the wind, and then just pull out his lightsaber, like without even moving it up. He literally just pulled it out with his arm still staying on the ground, like low to the ground like this. And then the audience could infer from there. Despite that though, too long, didn't watch. I think this is a pretty good film. I really like the lighting in it a lot. I really like the action and sort of the pacing, especially, you know, the scenery, the atmosphere. This video has a lot of really good atmosphere, and I think that's what really separates it from your other ones. I think this video has amazing lighting, and despite the subject matter, you know, Darth Vader versus Darth Vader, I think it's like, you know, it's a fine topic. I mean, I've seen a lot of lightsaber duels in the past. What really gets me going with this one is the lighting, the atmosphere, the kind of like, you really set this up, you know, you really take your time to set this up. I like the way this video feels, you know? You have a bit of comedy here too, so you're not taking yourself too seriously. But aside from that, I think there's some technical issues you still gotta work on, like the light flicker and the camera movement. This is a great shot though. This shot alone is worth the price of entry, which is free. It's a great shot. There's a lot of great things going on for this film, honestly, truly. And you know, there's just a couple things we gotta tweak. That's pretty much it. Really solid though. I really like this purple and orange lighting you got going on. You're developing a clear and distinct visual style, and that's really important to being a filmmaker. I like that. Anyways, that will be all today. That was JB Films' Lego Darth Vader versus off-brand Darth Vader. The link will be in the description. I hope you enjoyed this watch. I'm going to get back to work on The Weed Goblin 2. Peace.